What are you scared of?
Being by myself? Scared of ending up alone.
At first glance, the ending for The Last of Us Part 2 is incredibly depressing. Ellie's greatest fears come to pass. She's alone and has lost everything. Her life's journey has led her to an empty house to play a song she can't bear to play anymore, even if she could. The absolute bottom of Ellie's chasm of self-hatred. But that's all considering where Ellie is and has been, though. When you consider the future for Ellie, that's when it becomes clear that the ending of The Last of Us Part 2 is actually a hopeful one.
You're such an asshole.
I'm not trying to.
I was supposed to die in that hospital. My life would have fucking mattered. But you took that from me.
The final flashback scene between Joel and Ellie really put into better perspective for me her mindset throughout Part 2 and even the first Last of Us game.
I can't be for nothing.
Ellie has survivor's guilt when Joel is brutally murdered in front of her, but it's even more than that.
Joel, please get up! No!
Ellie's had survivor's guilt long before this moment.
Let's just wait it out. You know, we can be all poetic and just lose our minds together.
I'm still waiting for my turn.
Ellie.
Her name was Riley, and she was the first to die.
Much of Ellie's guilt and pain comes from the fact that she is immune to the virus that has ravaged the world. She lives as if she has to make up for something, or everything really. Ellie feels responsible for every person that has died from infection. And that's twofold after Joel took her from the Firefly Hospital at the end of the first game. Ellie feels guilty for still being alive when so many others have died. This guilt and seeds of doubt towards Joel leads to a slow decaying of their relationship.
Making a vaccine. Would have killed you. So I stopped them.
When Joel finally reveals the truth to Ellie, she's devastated and breaks off their relationship. She of course blames Joel for all the guilt she's been suffering from over the past few years and doesn't want to forgive him. Many took the final flashback between them in good light since they ended their relationship on good terms. But I took something different from this last moment between them that adds more insight into Ellie's quest for vengeance that we just witnessed up until this final flashback.
I don't think I can ever forgive you for that. But I would like to try.
I like that.
Ellie tells Joel she wants to forgive him, but of course she never gets the chance to because soon after, Joel is killed by Abby. More added guilt on Ellie's shoulders because she wasn't able to forgive Joel. That opportunity was stolen from her. Ellie, of course, sees that Abby took that from her and seeks revenge.
That's the one who killed him.
Killing Abby is paramount for Ellie on many levels. Avenging Joel, but on an even more personal level, it's an opportunity for Ellie to finally do something right in her eyes. She couldn't give a cure to the world, she didn't forgive Joel, and then she couldn't save Joel. But if Ellie can just kill Abby, this monster, all these years worth of built up pain, trauma, and guilt will be alleviated. How painfully ironic that someone who has the ability to save lives has chosen to devote herself to killing one person and anyone else who gets in her way. Every wolf, every Seraphite that Ellie kills is necessary. Even with Ellie's deep desire for revenge, this mission does take its toll on her, and she begins to see that there's more at stake than just her life. When that time comes, though, it's almost too late. Ellie continued the cycle of violence, and because of that, she nearly loses everything left she cares for. But mercy is shown to her again by the monster she came to slay.
Don't ever let me see you again. Come on.
Time passes and we see that Ellie seemingly has a better life. Living with Dina and raising a child at a peaceful home isolated from the chaos of the outside world. For Ellie, though, it's a false sense of peace. Her guilt and crippling PTSD still haunt her. Ellie is trapped in a perpetual state of trauma.
Your watch is broken.
Even though Ellie seemingly has everything she could ever want, someone who deeply loves her, a beautiful home, and a child to care for, it's still not enough.
I'll make her pay.
Tell me.
That's what you said when we got back to Jackson.
Killing Abby is seemingly the only option for Ellie to restart that clock. The only way for her to find peace. Ellie then travels to Santa Barbara and through hellfire and brimstone eventually finds Abby and has her opportunity to do something right. The two begin to brutally brawl with each other, and Ellie eventually gains the advantage. The moment Ellie has waited so long for, and yet, it's not how she imagined it to be. It's only when Ellie has Abby dead to rights does she finally realize that this won't bring her the peace she seeks. Ellie hates herself more than she could ever hate Abby now. The circumstances have changed and the roles have turned. Abby is no longer this monster Ellie sees. She has become the monster. No matter how much pain Abby has caused Ellie, ultimately, she's the one who didn't forgive Joel when she could have. Ellie has killed so many, put others at risk, and what has it resulted in? Ellie lets Abby go and ends the cycle of violence that has caused them endless pain and anguish.
But I can't walk on the path of the right because I'm wrong. No, I can't walk on the path of the right, 'cause I'm wrong.
Ellie returns home with seemingly nothing. Her love and child are gone. Ellie's grief and pain brought out the worst in her, and because she couldn't see that Dina and JJ were more important than her quest for vengeance, she lost them. Ellie goes into her art room and takes out the guitar Joel gifted her in the opening scene. Throughout the game, Ellie attempts to play the song Future Days, which Joel sang to her at the start of the game, but she interestingly never finishes the song, always stopping soon after she begins. In the final scene of the game, Ellie can't even play the song after losing 2 of her fingers in her battle with Abby. Ellie's last connection to Joel is gone because of the consequences of her own actions. It finally sets in that the future days she was fighting for is unattainable. Ellie then sets down the guitar and leaves the house as the game comes to a close. Ellie leaving behind Joel's guitar symbolizes many things, but mainly her finally being able to let go and forgive. Forgiving Joel, but also finally letting him go. Maybe more importantly though, Ellie's able to forgive herself, letting go of that self-hatred and guilt she's held onto for so long. Ellie is now free of pain, and has overcome her grief. She moves onto the horizon to live her future days, but on her terms. Ellie may not have much as the game comes to a close, but with her showing Abby mercy, Ellie retains some of her humanity. Ellie's come to the conclusion that she doesn't have to do something important to justify her life. Being alive, being happy is enough. Whether Joel's decision to save her was justified or not, he did it. Joel gave Ellie a second chance to choose her path and not have it decided for her. Ellie, maybe for the first time ever, is free from external forces and internal demons preventing her from truly deciding how to live her life. It's that newfound sense of freedom that allows Ellie to overcome her greatest fear, and what makes the ending of The Last of Us Part 2 truly inspiring and beautiful. Revenge is at the center of The Last of Us Part 2, but this game is about so much more than that. This is the most human game I've ever played. The good and the bad of human nature. But ultimately, this is a game about empathy. Showing empathy for those that you normally wouldn't, but also in Ellie's case, showing empathy for yourself. Forgiving others is difficult, but sometimes it's even more difficult to forgive yourself. Forgiveness is a difficult step-by-step process, and the first maybe being the most important. All difficult goals begin with our will to, at the very least, try. Look away from your past and to the horizon, and to live your future days better than your past days.
Good night, kiddo.
I'm just a poor wayfaring stranger traveling through this world of woe.
I'll soon be free from earthly trial. This body red in the old churchyard. I'll drop this cross of self-denial and go singing home to God. I'm just a going over Jordan. I'm just a going over home. I'm just a